Okay, so today we're going to be going over a Retina board that does not turn on. So the issue that this one's having is you plug in the power, you don't get a green light, and nothing happens. So one of the first things that I noticed when I plugged this in, I left this plugged in for about a minute, is that some components get really hot. I noticed because when I went to unplug it, I touched the board and I burned myself. So let's go on to look in that area and get an idea of what it is that's going on and why it's burning. I also probably should have noticed that because it smelled really bad when I went to pick it up, and that should have been an indicator that I should not have touched it. So if you look over here, you're going to see that these two components look really nasty. They look burned over here and over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the board view and see what those things are. So when I go over to the board view, I'm going to look and see what these things are, and I see that it's R6920 and R6905. So R6920. Okay, by the way, a lot of people said I should try out Foxit. I honestly didn't even bother going to the settings. I spent maybe 5 seconds trying to figure out how to get rid of those huge bars that show up in the top, and when I couldn't, I just gave up. So I figured out I can drag around this PDF reader with Alt, and I'm just going to Alt-tab to other things. So R6905 here is shot, and R6920 here. These two are both burned. Alright, so with the R6905 and R6920 it's pretty simple. So this is PP3V42. This is a power supply for the machine. Now this is one of the few power supplies that turns on before everything else turns on, so it's its own separate power supply. On this machine, PP-Bus G3 Hot, on this machine, PP5VS3, PP5VS5, PP3V3, all the other power supplies, they turn on based on PP-Bus G3 Hot. This is a power supply that can actually work independently of PP-Bus G3 Hot if you're plugging the charger in. So, over here you can see that it sources power from either PP-Bus G3 Hot or it sources power directly from the charger, and there's this little diode over here. So the way this works is pretty simple. So you have PP3V42 underscore G3 hot over here. This is one of the few power supplies that turns itself on to create the green light on the charger before any power actually starts getting made for the machine. Well, if all the other power supplies like PP-Bus G3 hot, PP5VS5, PP5VS3 are not present before this one is, then how is it going to turn on when you first plug in the charger? Well, the way this works is this will actually take the power directly from the charger. So let me just try to show you that here. So over here you have the charger coming through, and it will take power from the charger directly if PP-Bus G3 hot is not present, and it goes through this diode over here. So this is burning hot. So the first thing that I did is I decided to look up where PP3V42 underscore G3 hot was on the board. So let's look up where PP3V42 underscore G3 hot is on this board. This is scaling in Windows 8. Gotta love it. Then again, I can't really blame Windows 8 for the scaling in this software because this software is garbage trash that was made probably for Windows 3.1. When you look up Landrex test link, you'll see that this software has a milestone on their website where they're so excited that they created it, and that milestone where they're so excited that they created it is from 1995. So what I'm doing right now, might as well move some things around so that you can actually see how I'm troubleshooting, and also do that in the camcorder. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to measure that one of those little spots that I see over here on my multimeter. So on the screen over here, it says that that's a place where I can find PP3V42 underscore G3 hot. So I have my multimeter in diode mode. I have the red pin of the multimeter on ground, and I take the black probe and I put it right to where PP3V42 underscore G3 hot is. That's not a short to ground at all. So back to the drawing board here. Now I'm going to go back to my screen capture and go over to here. So this is not shorted to ground, which means this chip is probably not shorted to ground. So let's get closer over here. R6905 and R6920 are burned. These got burned for a good reason. There was no corrosion there. There was no evidence of liquid damage in that particular spot of the board. The liquid damage on this board was in a totally different spot. So that means that something over here must have been ripping power through, so much power through, that it actually managed to burn this. So let's check these capacitors, because these are also a path to ground. You have C6992, C6991, and C6990. Remember, PP3V42 underscore G3 hot is not shorted to ground. So all the things that go to ground on that bus, I'm not interested in because they didn't short to ground. Let's try C6992, C6991, and C6990. These three are tied together, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to find out which one it is. to C6991, C6990. Okay, now this is this component over here. So I'm going to try and check that component out. We're going to measure it, and you'll see what I see on my multimeter in a second. Now, I love this whole switching back and forth thing. The editing, I don't have to edit anymore. It's going to make doing these videos so much easier. So I'm going to take my multimeter right now, and I'm going to go over to that capacitor. Now on this side, I'm supposed to see I'm supposed to see the incoming power from the charger, and as you can see, there is a 0 voltage drop to ground, meaning that the power, there's a perfect path to ground through there, which means one of those 3 capacitors is probably destroyed. Now, what I'm going to do here is replace all 3. I am not a cheapskate. I buy these boards very, very cheaply from a kind gentleman called David at Advanced Reworks. So if you go to advancedreworks.com, you can ask David to sell you donor boards where you can get all these parts from, and that is what I recommend you do. Again, it makes no damn sense to be buying these little things from Mouser and waiting a week or 2 weeks to get them, because as I always say, what if something else is wrong with your board? What if this is not the problem? What if it's something else? Then you got to wait a week for other components to show up. Then you have another problem. You got to wait another week for another set of components to show up, and you wind up wasting so much ridiculous time. And like, really, what customers are going to wind up waiting for you to figure out, dicking around what component is wrong with their board as you order them over and over and over again? So I have these donor boards here, and I'm going to use them to replace C6990, C6991, and C6992. Now, if we go over to the microscope, I'm pretty confident that that component is going to look like complete shit. So let me just turn on this fume extractor here, because I don't want to die of inhaling all of this garbage, an early death. Let's go over here into the microscope, and we're going to take a look at what these things look like. Yeah, you see, that's nasty. So, rest in peace, new tweezers. They actually didn't land on the point for once. Steve here was kind enough to allow me to take these new tweezers since I've destroyed all of mine. They're pretty nice. They have this cool grip on them that I like. I'm just waiting for my this to heat up. Come on, HAKKO, heat up. Poor little abused hot air station. I really think it's about time I replaced the heating element in this thing. It does not heat up like it used to. Alright, let's try to get it off a little bit easier. Get some nice to cruddy old lead-free solder with some leaded. Yeah, it really is time I get a new heating element for that thing. Just one of the things, one of millions of things I just don't have time for. I plan to go to the website, and then it's, Lewis, what does this look like? Lewis, do you think you could fix this in this much time? Lewis, somebody's calling about a camera install. Okay, now, just for curious shits and giggles, let's see if I've removed my short to ground here. I didn't click. It just changed over on the screen and I didn't click. Just from dropping the keyboard on my messy desk, it clicked. That's scary. Multimeter? How dare you try to save battery? Still short to ground. So let's see what the other capacitors here are talking about. So we're going to go over and find the other ones. Alright, where is C6990 and C6991? So up there. Since I'm turning the board, I have the unique opportunity to actually put the board in the view that it isn't in the software. So we're going to look at those two capacitors and see what we have. Yuck. Alright, so that entire section could use replacing. That's going to be the chip that creates PP3V42_G3 hot, along with the inductor. And those two smoothing capacitors on input to the chip that creates PP3V42. So first things first, I would prefer to not destroy and burn that keyboard connector. So in a previous video, I showed complete disregard for the battery indicator connector because I knew that I was going to be replacing it anyway because it didn't work. This is actually a perfectly fine connector. There is nothing wrong with it. And further, it's also a connector that's really, really not fun to replace. It's actually very miserable to replace that connector. And since it's miserable to replace it, and I have no reason to replace it, I am going to protect it with some Kapton tape so that I don't destroy it. Better be safe than sorry. Okay, so we're going to remove those other two pieces. Actually, let's just remove all this entire section altogether. Isn't that the whole point of buying these donor boards and having 5 or 10 of them available? Yeah, I know what the problem is. Actually, here's the other problem. Check out the donor board that I have here. Oh, somebody got to it before I did. Okay, so maybe I don't have as much liberty as I thought in replacing every component. Let's see. I have 2 more here, and tell me that those fuckers stole everything. Okay, so my other donor board is here. Let's see what I have. That's right, okay, so it was only that one. I think I know exactly who stole all of that stuff. And for once, it was not me. Alright, so I know that I have the go-ahead, the resources, so that I can just take all that junk out. Because really, I don't want to look at it. It's all liquid damage. Like, one of those resistors may be good, but really, like, do I care? No, it's time to get rid of this shit. Goodbye. 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 GTFO. Fuck off. Fuck off. Rest in peace. Okay. Some of those pads are, yeah, you see what I'm talking about. They don't look very nice. Some of those pads are gone and done for, so there's probably going to be some jumpering work to be done here. We'll see just how much and to what extent in a second. First things first, is my short gone? Alrighty, so let's take a look. Multimeter, diode mode, black probe, red probe. I don't screw around with these probes because they will go in through your hand one end and out the other. So I honestly don't care if I knock things around my desk if it means that I'm not letting these probes run around and get me. So red probe on ground, black probe where I had the short before. It says OL, which means I'm good, which means I removed my short. So let's now go back and rebuild that section of the board. So that's the PP3V42_G3 hot section that I would like to rebuild here. And let's put my keyboard over here where it can't get in my way. Alright, so first things first. Yeah, that doesn't look very good. See what I'm talking about here? The whole idea here is I want to scratch away so I actually have something to solder to. That's going to be PP bus G3 hot input. Or charger input, depending. So remember, that was where our short to ground was, right over here. And that's ground. So the section that got messed up. We also want to see about that other side. Okay, and we flick away. All right, so we've got solder connected pretty much everything. So now we can start adding components. Let's get some work going on here. Now these tweezers conduct heat a lot worse than my other ones, which is nice. My hands are not getting irritated. I could get used to this. We'll have to make that look better later because that is disgraceful. Yeah. Can't help myself. Okay. See, when the solder has flux on it, surface tension moves everything into place if you just heat it up. It's a nice thing to rely on if you're a klutz with your hands like I am. Nice try, resistor. You're not escaping. Well, you see, you tried to make a run for it. Little mofo. Nice try. Now that capacitor that was by the SMC from before. Wow, this port still has an SMC on it that I'm stealing the capacitor from. I'm surprised. And also, remember those two diodes. Not the two diodes, the two resistors. Yeah, I know all that stuff above it is going to blow away. I've learned my lesson. Like that little piece of shit right over there. And the connector's going to get all burnt up. No. I know you're going to try. Captain Tape is my friend. That's a nasty junk left over on that pad. Let's get rid of it. So how there was some little junk left on it when I started working. That was a piece of whatever resistor I removed. Now that the short is gone, those two resistors shouldn't burn again. Okay, OCD touch-ups are done. Now let's see if I get a green light. No green light on the charger, I'm afraid. So now I go back to measuring. PP3V42 is only 1.2 volts and goes back and forth very quickly. Sad. Charger voltage is present. Nothing else is present. You got the birds a cage veneer. It's okay. Can I see the birds? Can I see the birds? Why did Steve give you the birds back? Why don't you want to take care of them? Can I see what it looks like? You have a picture? I want to see a picture. Destroying a motherboard, same as always. This is all going to get edited because I'm fucking this board to hell and back anyway. Hopefully I don't include that. If I include that, I'll get in trouble. You're not bothering me at all, Veneer. This motherboard is bothering me. But you're not bothering me. How could you ever think you're bothering me? Hey, look, you can switch. This is what's cool about the software, is you can switch back and forth between this and what I'm fucking up in real time. No more, yeah, I don't have to edit like crazy anymore. Just boom, zing. And you can switch and see the screen and everything. So if I want to record the screen, you can do this. And I can show the schematic. I love this software. It's awesome. Awesome and amazing. I'm destroying right now. Retina motherboard. That's no good. I removed an inductor. I removed an inductor. So there's a 3.4 volt power supply that was missing. That's where the spill was on the board. So there's a little piece that attaches that to the rest of the computer. So I removed that little piece because I want to see if there's something wrong in front of it or if the thingy that makes 3.4 volts is broken. It depends if they want to pay. Yeah, so let's see. So is this 3.4? Crap. See, this is where having an assist come in so handy. Every other company gets to have an assistant in their videos. I don't have an assistant because Veneer is ashamed that she works here. So that's no good. Yikes. See, that's supposed to be 3. And instead of being 3, it's 15. Oh, that's...
Inductor is conducts power, right?
Inductor. It's a coil that power goes through. But see, that's supposed to be 3 volts, and it's 15.7.
It's much, right?
That's no good, Veneer.
So why is it 15? What is the problem?
I don't know. Don't let them know that. They'll stop watching my videos. This is what makes it. So this was short. This is a capacitor that goes to ground. This was shorted. These two were burned because this was shorting the ground. So I replaced this, and now it's still not making what it's supposed to. This is what makes 3.4 volts, but it's not creating it. So I think R699, this is the feedback network that's supposed to tell this what it's doing, and I don't think it is. R6995, R6996. Let's see, R6995, R6996. R6995, R6996. Did I attach these? Okay, I didn't attach them. So see how 1, 2, 3? 1, 2. I'm not that smart. Okay. Let's see if I put that there, what happens? Do any of these have that left? Here we go. There's one that has it. If I put this on, I should get 3.3 volts now. Don't burn your finger, Veneer. I don't want you to hurt yourself here. And where did I put my inductor? Here's the inductor. It's stuck on the desk. This is a keyboard backlight connector, which I'm probably going to burn. But you see what happened when you walked in the room? I've been fucking with this for the past half hour and I got nowhere.
No, that's not me. That's you.
That was you. You helped me. Veneer, without your help...
That wasn't me, dude. Yeah, she's the matter of fact.
Yes, and help me fix.
I didn't help
You just made me $425.
Huh?
You made me $425.
Yeah,
Veneer, help me fix boards. Help me fix boards.
I wish I understood how you...
Okay, so what happened here real quick is my assistant came in with something important to talk about, and I had to fix the board and work on things while she was talking to me. So, yeah, as I say, you know, a lot of the times I want to do these videos, and I wind up getting interrupted by real life. So let me just go over what it was that I was doing when you couldn't see everything. So what happened is I soldered everything back on here for PP3V42, and since I was trying to do two things at once, what happened was I didn't solder the feedback resistor over here, so this was only creating 1 volt and then going back down to 0, 1 volt 0, 1 volt 0, and when I removed the inductor, which is the flat 15, it wasn't working. So what happened is I looked at it again and I tried to figure out what could be causing this. I figured maybe it was feedback, so I looked on the schematic and I saw that the feedback resistor was not on there. So let me just show you that on the schematic. Let me just put the screen capture shit back on. So yeah, I'm not always going to get to do the videos as complete as I like, and it is something I'm going to have to live with. But it's better. I figure it's better than putting up no content at all. You know, like in a lot of places that do this kind of thing, they don't put up any content at all because they just don't want it getting in the way of their everyday life. So anyway, so this resistor over here. So you can see this is the chip that creates PP3V42. this is where it outputs. Now here you have R6995 and R6996, which goes to PP3V42_G3H_FB, which is for feedback. If you don't know what that pin means, you can always look up the name of this. You can Google the chip LT3470AED. You can get a data sheet for that chip, and that will tell you. So what I did is I looked on the board view, and I noticed I had C6995, R6995, but I did not have R6996 there. Therefore, the feedback network was not fully functional. So now what we're going to do is plug it in and see if this turns on. Do keep in mind that before this board had absolutely no power. Parts of it would get boiling hot when you touch them, and there was no green light on the charger. There was no voltage going to the board. Now, after doing everything, the fan spins, which, as I like to joke, means we're done. Let's plug it into the machine for shits and giggles. See that everything done here actually works. I can't get one of those keyboard things that goes under the desk because there's a metal bar on this IKEA desk. It's killing me. I got spoiled to having that in the other office that I opened a month ago. So what I'm going to look for here is that we just have some basics, you know. The screen comes on, CPU V-core, and I'll run ASD on this later. I don't really feel like running ASD on stuff on camera because it's kind of boring. So what I do is I upload these videos if the board wound up fully working. If the board did not wind up working, I don't upload it because I am strongly against half-assed videos where I'm showing you how to do things that don't work. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind uploading a video where I show you that something doesn't work and I show you why, but I'm really not for making it look like something worked when it actually did not. So, while I don't put all the testing on camera, if this thing winds up not working, you can bet your ass that this video is going to go in the recycling bin. Unless I feel like going back and troubleshooting why it doesn't work, in which case, you know, it'll just get edited accordingly. So we made some progress. You got to see my troubleshooting process. You got to see me make a couple of mistakes along the way, and hopefully you learned something.